Hello. Well, here we are today for another video. I was asked to have a look at the tech tree for a couple of the ships because since the Warzone update, they've added some features. Namely, this hangar has been totally redesigned to give you a lot more options in terms of what you can do to customize your ships and how you can spend your XP. So that has made things a little bit more complicated, obviously, because you've got some choices, but I want to show you that a lot of the choices are really not that difficult to make because, it's pretty obvious which things are going to be better according to your style of flying or what you're capable of doing. So I'm going to mainly talk about the Wraith in this one. And then probably in a later video I will also talk about the Yuri. Those are the two ships that I really know the best. Other people, if you want to make a video to explain your choices about your ships, I can post them on the site. But these are the two ships that I know well, the Wraith and the Yuri. So first of all, we're going to talk about the Wraith. So here she is. You can obviously customize stuff like the cosmetics. This is kind of the skin that I always use on my ship. I've been using that for a couple years and haven't really found one I like better, so it saves me a lot of money. I mean, I have all the money. Anyway, let's check out the modifications because that's what's most interesting to people right now, I think. Okay, so you earn these modifications by earning XP, and you have to unlock them one at a time. I think they increase, so the beginning ones in the tree cost less XP, and then as you move up they cost more. But the maximum amount one of these upgrades costs is still not very much. Like, I think it's around 8,000 XP. It's the top cost of one of these, and you can earn your way through the tree within, I'd say, 4 or 5 days of playing consistently with the same ship. So let's just go through them one at a time. You'll see they're color coded. So along the top you'll see there's attack, defense, tech, and mobility. So attack is pretty obvious. It's like what your offensive weapons can do. Defense is your shielding and your countermeasures and that kind of thing. Actually, no, it's not countermeasures. Countermeasures are tech. And mobility is obviously your engines, modifications to engines and capacitor. So how fast you can get around the maps. Okay, so starting with this one, extended flare. So that it says there plus 10% ECM duration, plus 15% cooldown. So what that means is that when you fire off the flares to evade missiles with your Wraith, you're going to get 10% more duration from that flare burst, meaning you'll, if there's a prolonged burst of missiles coming after you, you're going to have a little bit longer time of flares going off to distract those missiles. But the cost of that is that it will take 15% longer for you to have another opportunity to set off those flares again. So that's what the plus 15 cooldown means. Alright, and then this one here, shield regeneration, that's under the defense category. This means that your shield will recharge 10% faster, but you will lose 15% of the strength of your shield. So that's a way that you could go. And then this one here, rapid flare, this is the one that I choose because I don't feel that the length of the flare duration is that important to me. I'd rather be able to use this more often. Now that may be up to you, your mileage may vary, but I feel like it's much more valuable for me to be able to use those flares more often. So that means that it reduces my flare cooldown by 15%, meaning I can set off my flares 15% more often than I could if I didn't have this upgrade. And the cost of that is that they last 10% less when they actually go off. So to me, not a big deal to lose 10% duration, but being able to use them 15% more often, that's a big deal to me. Okay, and then the next one, Shield Capacitor. So this gives you more shields at the cost of a slower recharge rate. So, I think some of the labeling is a bit confusing in here. That's probably why people are confused with the tech tree, because minus 10% recharge rate, that kind of implies that your shields would recharge faster, but it doesn't mean that. It means that your shields are going to recharge slower, but you'll get more shields. So that's not the one I like. I prefer this one, which is Enhanced Plating, which is more armor. The reason I like this is because you can do something about your shields being down. If your shields go down, you can just run away, go hide, evade, do things to avoid getting shot. But once your armor is getting depleted, there aren't that many ways of getting it repaired, especially since there aren't too many support ships flying around in Valkyrie these days. So you have to have somebody in your team with a Banshee dropping spider bots to repair your armor, or you'd have to have someone in a Nagi repairing your armor. And those things don't happen that much anymore, mainly because of the way that they made the support ships in the last patch of the game. So, I'd rather have a bit of a boost of armor, because that'll mean that I can last longer in the game, and I'll just try to keep my shields in good condition as much as possible. So that's that top row. Let's go through these ones. Accelerated Receiver, so that's a weapon upgrade. This means that your primary weapon, in this case the assault cannons, will fire 20% faster, but they'll do 15% less damage per shot. So if you don't have great aim and you're kind of spraying and praying, this might be a good option for you, because you'll be able to get more bullets off, but which means that if you are on target, more bullets will hit your target. Just means that they do a little bit less damage. So I've kind of tested this. If you are just like solidly firing at a target that's not moving, like somebody in a heavy with their brakes on, you will do more damage with the other upgrade, which I'm going to get to in a second, than this one. But it's pretty close, actually. So it's really up to your style of play. If you don't yet have the best aim in the world, this might be a good one for you. But we'll get to the one I use in a minute. Okay, so secondary tank. This is a capacitor upgrade. This means that your capacitor tank size is bigger, but it takes longer to recharge. So, this is kind of a nice upgrade, but recharging your capacitor at a faster rate, to me, is preferable than having more capacitor. Okay, so I'm going to take the top road here, Regeneration Manifold. So this, again, is a capacitor upgrade. Increases the rate of your capacitor recharge, but reduces the tank size. You don't want to reduce your tank size ever in Valkyrie, because capacitor is life. If you run out of capacitor, you're really toast out there. So 10% recharge rate is not enough of a payoff to counterbalance that 15% penalty in tank size, I think. So I would avoid this one. Okay, cooling bonds. This is the thing I like to use. It's a 10% weapon overheat bonus. So as you're firing your assault cannons in Wraith, they gradually overheat, and then they start to kind of putter out. And you'll really notice that the rate of fire decreases drastically when they overheat. If you look out your window, you'll see they're glowing orange. It means that they can't keep up with what you're doing. So if you're in a lot of heated battle and you're firing a lot, you can run into weapons overheat. I like to use this upgrade because it allows me just to fire a little bit longer, especially against those really heavily armored targets like jackals or hydras, or ones that can self-repair. like the Vulcan, you need that little extra bit of weapon fire before your overheat in order to finish those targets. So I take this one. Okay, so Enhanced Distributor. Again, this is the one that I choose. More Capacitor is better. I think that if you don't have Capacitor, you can't fight. So I will take the Enhanced Capacitor tank size, and I will just find a place to recharge my Capacitor. It may go slower, recharging may be a little bit slower, but I will be able to stay in the battle longer and possibly earn myself some peace by killing an enemy so that I can actually recharge. So this is the one I choose. Burst Flare. Okay, so again, this is another ECM upgrade. 10% ECM range, so that means it fires those flares out further. Honestly, I don't see the value of that at all. So I would just avoid that. And then finally, upgraded Ballistics. This is another interesting one. So you can do 15% more damage per shot at the cost of a much slower rate of fire. So I don't know if the math adds up for this one. Again, I choose that one that gives me a 10% bonus on the overheat instead of this 15% weapon damage per shot. That's not bad, but losing 20% of your rate of fire, it means that that's an overall penalty, I think. So if we compare that one to the first one we looked at, 20% primary rate of fire, primary weapon rate of fire for 15% damage penalty, I'd be hard-pressed to tell you which one of these is better. I think we did test it one time with a stopwatch and spreadsheet, and I think in the end we discovered regular weapons with a primary weapon overheat perform better. Again, I think it depends on your style of your style and your level of skill. Probably if you have really good aim, this might be a good one. If you can really keep on target, not miss any shots, this is probably going to work pretty well for you. But I guess I chose middle ground, more bullets over a longer period of time. So that's it. The final box, I guess, is XP transfer. Once you've maxed out everything, you've earned enough XP that you can transfer it to other ships and other categories if you don't want to earn your way through them. It's honestly very expensive to do this. You take a big penalty in XP when you do that. So only do it if you've got tons of XP to throw around. So yeah, hope this cleared things up for you. If you've got any questions, head over to the Discord. People there quite willing to help out. Okay, talk to you soon.